Good morning, everybody. So thank everybody for coming today. The purpose of today is to share the latest progress on the Washington Bridge project. And today, of course, we do have some good news and progress to share with you. So in a moment, the governor will announce the short list of the 2 highly qualified design-build teams that will then compete for the contract to build a brand new Washington Bridge. Joining us for this announcement is East Providence Mayor De Silva, who will also offer some comments. Following Mayor De Silva, Director Alviti will outline the next steps for the 2 design-build teams on the short list. So with that, I'll turn it over to Governor McKee.
Thanks, Joe, and good morning, everybody. Welcome to a very well decorated State House, for the holiday season and the Christmas season. And I'm happy to be here today with Director Alviti, along with Mayor De Silva, who's certainly has been a champion and put his feet right to the fire, on last year on December 11th, and we really appreciate the mayor's partnership. Mayor Smiley has been invited, but he was not able to make it today. So I give a shout out to him as well for his leadership during this time frame. So today we're announcing the short list of nationally known companies that will be competing for the contract to build a new Washington Bridge. This is good news, and it's timely. As you know, tomorrow marks 12 months since we closed one side of the Washington Bridge, and 9 months since the March 14th date when we learned that we needed to build a new bridge. It has been a difficult year for everyone impacted by the closure. I know that, and I'm sorry we've had to go through this, but it was necessary. Like you, I certainly wish I had known sooner than December 11th that the bridge had serious issues. And like you, I wish I had known right away that no amount of repair work would be enough to salvage the existing bridge. It's been a fluid situation, and we have made several adjustments along the way, but our goal has remained clear. Build a new bridge, build it safely, and build it right. And along the way, we've taken steps to continue moving this project forward. We're able to quickly open 2 lanes in each direction on the newest span of the bridge so that we could accommodate westbound traffic. And once we learned on March 14th that a new bridge must be built, we worked quickly to open 6 lanes safely, 3 in each direction. That helped it make it possible for the bridge traffic to basically return to its pre-closure volume. I want to point out here that we have safeguards in place to make sure that the remaining span can handle the additional traffic. First, we've had external engineers and experts, including the Federal Highway Administration, give us the approval to implement this solution. We've upped the frequency of inspections as a precaution. And as a fail-safe, we have invested in an early warning system that will monitor both the weight of the traffic traveling over the bridge and the level of movement in the structure itself. That way, if there's an issue that arises, we will know about it right away before it can turn into a bigger issue over time. The demolition of the superstructure, the part of the bridge that we drove over, is on track to be finished this winter. And the demolition of the substructure underneath should also start this winter. That's important progress. When the bridge first closed, we immediately collaborated with the Small Business Administration to connect impacted businesses with available financial supports. But soon, we understood that businesses needed more loans. That's why the General Assembly and I made sure that the hardest hit companies could get grants that would provide some financial relief. I want to thank the Commerce Corporation and the cities of Providence, under the leadership of Mayor Smiley, and East Providence, under the leadership of Mayor De Silva, for managing that grant process. As I've said before, my top goal has been to rebuild the bridge. The next goal on that list, to minimize the impact to Rhode Island taxpayers. To that point, the state is pursuing litigation to hold parties accountable and to help defray costs that might otherwise fall to the public. Accountability has been asked for, and the lawsuit is going to hold the individuals and the companies accountable that should be held accountable. Just like we prevailed in court last week on the truck toll case, I believe our efforts to hold parties accountable for the bridge failure will be successful. It will take time, but in the end, the public will have the accountability that it's been asking for. My team and I also had the taxpayers in mind when we pulled out all the stops for federal funding. We met with the congressional delegation, with the Federal Highway Administration, and with the President himself. The result, Rhode Island received not one, but two enormous federal grants. A $125 million mega grant and a $95.5 million infra grant to help finance the new construction. That's over $200 million. And through our team at the Office of Management and Budget, we proactively put together a funding strategy beyond those grants. This strategy includes Gavi bonds, which passed the General Assembly, and thank you again to the Speaker and the Senate President for their work as we work together to solve this problem. We call it a belt and suspenders approach, and while we may not have to draw down on all the funds, we have them in our pocket if we need them. In short, we are moving in the right direction. And now, after getting 4 impressive submissions for our request for qualifications, we have narrowed down the contenders to 2 strong, highly qualified finalists to compete to rebuild the bridge. These 2 finalists will create, design, and build building plans that come with clear timelines, scopes, and well-informed cost estimates. The 2 finalists are a joint venture with American Bridge Company, MLJ Contracting Corporation, and the second is Walsh Construction Company. American Bridge Company is a Pennsylvania company ranked as the 5th largest bridge builder in the United States by Engineering News Record. They were part of the team that built the San Francisco-Oakland Bay Suspension Bridge, the longest self-anchored suspension span in the world. Their partner, MLJ Corporation, Contracting Corporation of New York, is a partner for both the Brooklyn Bridge restoration and the Port Authority Command Center. Walsh Construction Company is a Chicago company ranked as the largest bridge builder in the world by Engineering News Record. It worked on the 195 Q Bridge in New Haven, the Whittier Bridge in Massachusetts, and the I-90 westbound Interbelt Bridge in Cleveland. They are impressive companies, and we're very excited to be working with them both in the coming months. This is all good news for Rhode Island, the progress that is being made, the timelines that are being met, and we expect that we're going to continue to report back to the public through the media as we move ahead on this project with regularly scheduled sessions like we're having today. So with that, I'd like to turn the podium over to Mayor De Silva from East Providence. Mayor, please come on up.
Thank you, Governor. Thank you, Director. Joe Allman. This is welcome news, Governor. As many of you know, when a year ago on December 11th when we first received the news, and I remember that call, I'll never forget it, it's been seared into my memory, when Director Alviti called to inform. It was disruptive to our residents, to our businesses. But we have a very resilient community, a very resilient business community, and once the 3 lanes opened up, traffic has begun to move through the city like it did before. Businesses, in speaking to them, did have financial impacts early on, but when I speak to businesses today, they're doing much better. This kind of news is what the community wants to hear. This is what the residents want to hear, that the process is moving forward, that there's a plan in place. We were fortunate that through Governor McKee's leadership and with the General Assembly's support, we were able to get some grants, $1.2 million to the City of East Providence. We've started to distribute those letters to our businesses. We had 111 people apply. 90 businesses have received letters that they will be receiving some form of money. We've upped the amount to impacted businesses to up to $10,000. And out of the applications that we've received, approximately 40 of them will be made whole for the period of impact that we're looking at. So, Governor, once again, thank you for your leadership in trying to get this and moving this project forward. Director Alviti, thank you also and your team. Having been in municipal government now for 6 years, I understand the process of procurement and going through a process of design and implementation. These things take time. So when you think about a brand new bridge that needs to be taken down and built, and we've already got this RFP ready to go, it's good news. We're making good time. So I want to thank you all, and thank you for giving me the opportunity to come up and speak. And I'll turn it over to Director Alviti.
Good morning, everyone. As the governor has announced, we've identified 2 outstanding bridge construction companies, each with equally outstanding teams of project managers, construction managers, and design firms that will be submitting a response to our RFP that we plan to issue on December 18th, next Wednesday. These 2 companies that will compete for the contract to build our new bridge are ready to provide us with their plans for design, their schedule, and the cost of the new bridge. After the issuance of the RFP next week on December 18th, the schedule for the 15 tasks that need to be completed by RIDOT and the companies between December 18th and June 6th is as follows. The first 3 steps in the first 4 weeks will take us actually through the holiday season, but these companies and we are committed to working through that time period to review the drafts, have meetings with the companies, and to discuss with them the commercial terms of the RFP to make sure everyone understands the terms on which the 2 companies are competing and to create a fair and level playing field for both companies to compete head to head. Following that, in February, by February 21st, the initial alternative technical concepts, So these companies that are selected, I assure you, will actually, them and their teams, will begin working today on developing their technical concept, their schedule. The companies that, that the governor mentioned are impressive companies. They are well-sized to be able to do a project like this. In fact, their teams, which consist of, in one case, 6 different companies of consultants, subconsultants, and subcontractors, and in the other 12 companies, will be working on a massive effort to actually create a conceptual design of the new bridge and to be able to develop the actual schedule and cost that they will be contracted to achieve during this project. That begins today. And they'll be working to provide us with the initial technical concepts that their companies will be providing. These technical concepts will include innovations that their companies have in bridge design and building that they intend on implementing in this project, and will take the base technical concept that we're providing to them of the basics of the bridge dimensions and that, and they will develop their own vision of what it will look like, how it will be built, the materials that it will be built with, and the methodology they're going to use in order to put it in place. All of these things will be submitted to us in February, and by the end of February, we will have had meetings with each of the companies to discuss with our engineers and theirs their technical concepts and what they mean and what they entail and what the benefits and or issues there may be with each one of them. By March 14th, we will make our initial determination of which of their technical concepts will move forward in their proposal process. And by March 28th, the final list of technical concepts each company will employ to be able to build a bridge will be determined. By the middle of May, their technical proposal, by May 16th, their actual technical proposal is due. That technical proposal will include all of what I said. It'll include basically a 10% conceptual design of the bridge. And 10% doesn't sound like much in lay terms, but in engineering terms, there is a considerable amount of engineering and design that goes into achieving that level of design in a bridge this size particularly. And they will submit their proposals that will also include the schedule on which they intend to build and commit themselves to building the project by. May 30th, they will be responsible to submit to DOA separately from their technical proposal a sealed bid for the price, the cost of the bridge. And that will be held in confidence by DOA until by June 6th, our team at DOT, along with our advisors, will be reviewing the 2 proposals to select the one on June 6th that we will be contracting with to do the work. At that point in time, the DOA takes the scores of the companies that we evolve out of an evaluation process. The evaluation point system is spelled out in the RFP that will be available to all of you next week. And that score will be blended with the score that each company gets for the price proposal that they submit. They'll be combined to determine the winning team. So on June 6th, we will know who the winning team is, what the bridge is going to look like, how it's going to be built, how long it's going to take to build it, and what it's going to cost to build it. We'll know the answers to all of those, and we will enter into a contract with the companies. Both of these companies, with the expertise and the consulting companies that they bring into their team, are more than capable. As the governor gave you examples of the work that they did, we're looking for a bridge to be built for 100 years. One of these companies is actually involved in the rehabilitation of a bridge they built over 100 years ago. So is it possible to build bridges that last 100 years? I guess so. One of the two companies actually did that, and it's still standing and being actively used. We expect that same level of competence that these two companies have demonstrated over their last 100 years in existence to be brought to bear on this problem. The demolition is going along as planned. During the last several months, the demolition has been ongoing, except for a brief 2-week pause that was requested by our legal counsel. The demolition contractor resumed work and has now completed substantially the superstructure demolition, and by February 26, we'll have is on track and on time to have the entire superstructure demolished. The demolition of the substructure will begin in January and will be completed next December 25. Between June 6, when we select the company to build the bridge, and December, when the demolition on the substructure is complete, the remaining demolition work will be under the water will be performed, but at the same time, the construction company that we select will begin their work on rebuilding the new bridge by creating the final design. They'll take their 10% submission design to us and complete it to 100% complete. They'll be ordering material and equipment resources that are necessary in order to build a new bridge. They'll be staffing their workforce that will be building the new bridge and prefabricating bridge components that I'm sure that each company has in their scenario, the accelerated bridge methods that you've seen us use, and they are even more expert at doing that kind of thing. They'll be preparing their construction laydown areas, and they'll be doing some initial construction in the work zones. That period, that 6-month period, provides for a seamless transition between the completion of the demolition and their begin of active occupation of the site for construction. It's been a long road. It's been a long road with more than a few bumps in it, right? But it's smoothing out. We're at a point where things are smoothing out now. There's a clear path ahead for us to build a new bridge. And we want to thank the people of the state of Rhode Island for their patience, the mayor, the governor, for his patience, although we've tried it on many occasions. Ultimately, the people of Rhode Island will have a brand new bridge that'll be completely safe, it'll be efficient, and it will last 100 years.
So as we've done in the past, we're going to bring the governor back up for questions. We'll offer Director Alviti back for questions. If you can try to focus your questions to each person as they come up, it'll be helpful. I know at some point we'll kind of be more scattered. Thank you. Mike.
Well, thank you. The governor, as the director pointed out, it's been a long road. It's been a year of ups and downs. If you would reflect back on the last year and what's gone into it and what you bring from it.
Yeah, so I mean, hindsight is 20/20. There's no question about that, and I think that we have admitted that there's certain things with the timelines that were put out early were not true, didn't hold up. So yeah, so I think that, Steve, there are some things that are back, you know, that you can look back on. I kind of feel as though we should look forward, and I think that what we're announcing today is showing that we are in the right direction, going in the right direction. And we are continually looking at making sure that we stay going in the right direction. So to your point, yes, there's certain timelines, certain timelines that I was told was accurate that I put out, that I certainly would be looking to rephrase. A little quick with Brian at one press conference. I think that I think I might do that a little different. But at the same point in time, I can stand here with complete confidence that as we move ahead with a contractor of the status that we've been able to bring to the table, and the financing in place, which was a lot of work. We did many things correct, and the things that we did correct far outweighed the things that we might have stumbled on.
Governor, with it being unclear when the westbound bridge will be replaced and at what cost, and with peak traffic still causing heightened congestion at times, and the eastbound flow of traffic often backing up on the bridge, what do you say to Rhode Islanders who remain dissatisfied and troubled by the state's response?
Well, I think that this goes with the territory, right, in terms of the fact that a major project like this, a major infrastructure project like this, has those delays built in. This morning, for me to I had to move around 295. There was an accident on 295 in the Cumberland area today that put me up, bypassed me into Route 99. Yeah, the accidents issues are really the one front and center. What I would say to people, let's make sure that we continually drive safely, not only for your own safety, but also for the making sure that your fellow drivers are traveling along as safely and quickly as possible, and accidents cause problems. And that seems to be, it's getting reported, our accidents are actually down on the 195. So continually having patience, as we have to have patience, is important, understanding that it has impact at certain times of the day, but also realizing certain times of the day the traffic is moving very smoothly, right? And I think that we need to identify where it's a problem and where it's not, and we need to communicate that to people so that they can make sure that they are timing their travel times if they can, so they get to work on time, right? They get the kids to school on time. They get home for dinner on the evening commute. We're going to do everything we can to make that happen, and we're going to move ahead on rebuilding the bridge that will bring us back to where to even a better spot, quite frankly, than we were when the construction was in effect, right? At the time that we shut the bridge down, there was a repair strategy there that ended up being not the correct method, but that was slowing down traffic as well. So construction and improving our infrastructure is really a high priority, and we're getting. And the other thing I would impress on people is that we are improving our infrastructure at a fairly rapid rate. We've moved up 12 spots since I've been governor on our infrastructure rankings with CNBC. That is an indication that the work that's being done by the DOT is good work. And so I would say one is, to answer your question and maybe a summary, is we have to continue to have patience. Know and have confidence that we're doing the work on a schedule that is one that is going to be quicker, I believe, in the end, than most bridge constructions, big bridge constructions in the area or even in the state. And we'll get there. Drive safely, really important. We know that accidents do slow down and complicate issues. And then finally, have confidence that we are moving in the right direction on infrastructure. And this was as Peter said, it's a bump in the road that wasn't anticipated, and we're on track to really deliver on a bridge with a contractor that has a national reputation.
This is for Director Alviti. You had mentioned that as part of this RFP process that there would be, it's up to the company to determine their schedule, but is there any, time frame that the state's looking at for getting this new bridge rebuilt? Is it safe to say it's not 2026 anymore?
So you're talking about the actual construction?
Yes.
Well, that really is, the development of the actual schedule is the 6-month period that we're entering into. That's what these companies will be doing. Depending upon the materials, how it will be constructed, what the pier spacing is going to be, all of the technical details that they and literally over a dozen other consulting companies will be collaborating on and working on for the next several months. The outcome of that will be a fixed design, a fixed cost, and a fixed schedule. Now, what these companies are capable of doing is considerable. So we're very much looking with great anticipation by June 6th in knowing precisely how much they're willing to build it for, what the cost is going to be, that they're going to be held to and will hold themselves to, and the fixed schedule, and a detailed progress schedule that will show us certain milestones and benchmark dates that they will meet. All of those details are part of the analysis that we will be doing with the companies for the next several months, and at the end of it, we will have definite times and definite costs.
But likely not 2026.
I'm not going to make any predictions on what these companies are capable of. Let's wait and see. Let's see how they put their innovation and their skills and their knowledge of over 200 years between the two of them in building bridges to work to get us the best price, the best schedule.
Can you tell us a little bit about the firm that you didn't pick? Was the decision not to select a bridge company, does that have anything to do with the fact that you're accusing them of messing up in a lawsuit right now?
I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
you can talk to the procurement. I stay away from procurement.
Yeah, okay. Say that again, please.
Okay. You didn't select a bridge company and the other fourth firm. Can you just talk about why you didn't pick them? I know they're demolishing the bridge.
Well, I think, every company, all four companies, as a matter of fact, all four teams, were extremely competent and capable of doing this project. I will say that. I'll start off by saying that. The selection of companies of such high caliber as the four, to select 2 out of those 4, the results of the scoring is going to be made public later today from DOA. So you'll be able to look at the relative scoring of each company and see what the reasoning of the selection committee was on each of the companies to determine. The same set of metrics was applied to all 4 of the companies, and they were determined by a consensus of the selection committee.
Are you going to release all the submissions from the RFQ?
The RFQ, it will contain the decision and the scoring in detail of each of the companies that were involved.
What about their actual submissions? Are you going to release those?
The names, yes.
No, their written submissions. Whatever they submitted to you to the RFQ, did they submit?
The RFQ materials, I don't know, you'll have to check with DOA on what their policy for that is.
Okay, and I know we ask you this every time, but just to be clear, on the internal investigation, has anyone been fired or disciplined at this point after 1 year since you started investigating what happened with the bridge?
No, I think the governor has said in the past, and I will say it too, I have no evidence at this point that points to anyone inside DOT. The decisions that we made were based on advice that was given by consultants, and I think the governor can speak more to that.
No, I think I've already mentioned that. I think that the public wants accountability, and we are pursuing that accountability through the lawsuit. That might not be the answer that some people want. They want to see heads rolling, but I'm not going to do that just because of the politics or the optics of it. We're going to need a reason to do that, and we don't see a reason to do it. I believe that we are holding the parties accountable, that the public wants us to hold accountable, and I believe that we will be successful, as I said in my opening comments, on the lawsuit, just like when I made the decision to pursue the lawsuit on the tolls. So I believe that this is in the same category. It's going to take some time. Hopefully we'll be able to close that loop quickly, and the dollars that I believe we'll recover will be just added to the federal dollars that we've been able to get in grants, along with the Gavi bonds, along with some of the cash that we've already appropriated through the General Assembly. But we are pursuing, and I'll tell this to the general public, I am confident that we're pursuing those individuals that I believe should be held accountable, and we're doing it in a professional way, and this is normal practice in the construction industry.
Following up on that, and also on Ian's question, I know it was kind of, people were upset about what happened in the past. Given what's happened in the past year, what do you say to people whose cynicism is still high and confidence is low in the ability of state government to oversee this project in a timely, cost-efficient way?
Yeah, so all we can do is work each day to bring us to a point like we are today, right? I mean, and I've listed out things that we have done since March 14th, when we determined that the bridge needed to be replaced, whether it's the financing, whether it's the litigation, whether it is the demolition schedule that is happening as we speak, or now today talking about people, highly qualified companies that are going to go through this next process so we can select somebody to build the bridge. So I understand that some of the confidence levels are earned, and I would say that we need to earn the confidence of people. But I also understand that the critique and the criticism, some of it is earned, but some of it's not. So we got to continue to do the work like we're doing, and over periods of time, as we're sitting here today, as a bridge is being demolished, as the bridge is being prepared to be rebuilt, as we're putting out funds to help the small businesses that have been impacted. Mayor Silva outlined that very well. We have touched every base, and I think collectively you're going to see the body of work here that the general public's going to be very confident that we're moving in the right direction.
And I know we're focused on the westbound side today, but you did early on mention the added inspection and safeguards on the eastbound side now that it's carrying double the load. What is the concern that the lifespan of that side of the bridge is now going to be rapidly decreased or hastened because of the added traffic over at least it looks like 3 years?
So with the information we have right now, we don't have a concern about that. We're continually using I'll use the term the belt and suspender strategy that we had with the financing. We're continually looking at making sure that, because we're fully aware of some of the critiques that are coming in from out of state and out of the country. We're fully aware of that. So we are ahead of that in terms of making sure that the people who are safe, and I've said right from the very beginning, safety has been the number one priority. It continues to be the number one priority, and the people that are traveling over that bridge should have confidence that it continues to be the number one priority, which is safety. And that's the reason I made the decision with the director to shut the bridge down on such a short notice, knowing full well that it was going to complicate people's lives, and we're acknowledging that.
Governor, you've mentioned accountability will come in the form of the lawsuit, which will take many years. But in the years since the shutdown, have you made any updates to policies and procedures within your office, within the Department of Transportation, to add safeguards or change things so that another instance like this couldn't take place?
Yeah, so I mean, we're clearly analyzing what got us to this point, and talking to DOT in terms of maintaining a proactive strategies, and I think I just described that on the what's happening on the eastbound bridge, right? So, but again, I'm going to go back and really say again, I think that we're headed in the right direction on accountability. I think that the people who had advised us, and I'm not going to get too far into the weeds in terms of the case itself, but certainly I've been given enough information by the legal team that says that when I made the decision to pursue a court case, a legal case like I did when I did the toll decision, that we're heading in the right direction there. And I think that time will show that there'll be settlements that I believe will be significant, that is going to help us continue to make sure that we're doing right by the taxpayers and the people of the state of Rhode Island.
And Director, when evaluating the qualifications of these 4 teams, did any of them give an indication of how quickly or how much it cost for them to build similar bridges across the country?
Well, certainly they gave us examples of other bridges and structures that they built. Whether or not they're the exact model of what we're building here, some of them were much larger bridges. So using the examples that they provided us won't give us an indication, but it certainly does give us an indication that these 2 companies and their teams, don't forget that one company has 6, 7 other companies and/or consulting teams that work on everything from the environmental permitting and the design and all of the other facets of building a bridge. The other team has, I think, a dozen other companies that they're working with. They're packing the gear. They're packing the gear to build this thing as fast as any companies that we could select could build it, and for a fair price that bridge is worth. So we'll wait to see what the outcome of the procurement process is, but I am very confident in the teams that we picked.
I just want to hear this answer from Director Alviti. Are you 100% confident that the eastbound side can handle double the traffic for a year, 2, 3 more years at this point?
The eastbound lane? Yes, we've had 2 separate companies, well-respected engineering companies, do detailed structural analysis on that bridge. And both of them came back with the same result, saying, yes, it's safe with the additional traffic loads we're putting on it, and the structure itself will handle that capacity for the time that we need it to rebuild a new bridge. In addition to, we didn't stop there. In addition to make sure that that remains safe during that time, we've increased the frequency of bridge inspections that we do on that bridge. And our maintenance division is already working on the last inspection to correct many of the deficiencies, if not all, eventually, the deficiencies that were in that, to make sure that we keep the bridge in a state of good repair, okay? So that it will, in the proper service, provide us with the proper service that we need. One more layer, belts and suspenders that the governor likes us to have. One more layer of safety on that is that we are implementing a weigh in motion and a structural health monitoring system. Those 2 systems will give us minute-by-minute information on the operation and movement and loads that are being put on the bridge, so that we will have 2 consulting companies just with their eyes on that data on a day-to-day basis to monitor and advise us of any issues that they might see arising, so that we can be proactive and take care of them before they become an issue. We are taking every precaution, not only to make sure that that bridge is safe to use initially, we already did, we made that determination, but we're also, on an ongoing basis, going to continue to monitor very closely, more closely than we have any other bridges, because it is a very strategic bridge for the commerce and the travel that people in the state need to do.
Have you given any thought, big picture, to if repairing the eastbound bridge should be part of the end of the westbound bridge project, since it may have taken years off of that bridge's life by that point that the westbound side is complete?
So your question is, when do we expect to have to repair the eastbound bridge?
Well, sure, but also, do you think it should be part of the conversation about the westbound side, since it will be...
No, the expected lifetime of the eastbound bridge, it was built in just, maybe 15 years ago. Mm-hmm. The expected lifespan of that is at least 75 years with proper maintenance. We are doing that proper maintenance to assure that it lasts that long. So we expect to get every bit of the useful life that it was originally designed, even with the additional use we're putting on it.
And just one quick follow, did you have a date on when the weigh-in monitoring system would be fully activated?
That's a very good question. I had the owners of the companies that are doing that installation in my office this morning at 8:30 to make sure I understood exactly where they were and why there have been some minor slippages in that. The company doing the installation of the monitoring system, the actual electrical and electronic installation, is working under difficult conditions. Their folks are working off barges with towers up to 60, 70 feet in the air, having to connect live wires. It's dangerous and it's very weather-dependent kind of work. So there have been some slippages because of those issues. They assured me that the weigh-in motion portion of that wiring will be completed by next week, next Thursday. And following up on that, our engineering staff and the company that is providing the software and the technology to us will have their work on the reporting done later in the month in January. And at that time, the reports that we derive from that weigh-in motion system will be available to us and they'll be available to the public. And the health monitoring system is work that's ongoing. It's subsequent to the weigh-in motion, and that'll take us into next year, early next year.
So first for the governor, you mentioned hindsight is 20/20. There are maybe some criticisms that have been fair and some not. But you didn't specify what, in hindsight, we could have done differently. Looking back, what should the state have done differently in this rebuild project?
So I mentioned that in my comments. I think some of the timelines that we were given initially, saying that the bridge would be back in action within 90 days, that ended up not being accurate. So I think that was something that should have been handled a little bit different. But and then also some of the, like I said, some of the communications on timelines in particular, we should have, and I think that you're seeing that, certainly I'm a lot more cautious today than I was then about mentioning timelines, right? So we're going to just continue to do the work. I have said that I believe in the end, you're going to see that this project is going to be completed within a time frame that is significantly better than other bridges that have been built in the state of Rhode Island and around in the area. So we're just going to continue to do the work. We can't let the hindsight stall us in terms of the work that's being done. But I think that timelines were a little bit aggressive in the beginning. I think that even the RFP that went out for the construction this summer was done for the right reasons, to be as aggressive as we could. But at the end, we had to kind of recover on that. But we're headed in the right direction right now, and I think that we're showing that today by the selection of this, these two finalists that have the ability to deliver. And so we're pleased where we are right now in relationship to where we were a year ago. We know a lot more, and we're acting on that knowledge.
So was it just the communication and the announcing of the timeline, or was it the underlying process that actually created the false timeline and then the delays that was the problem?
Yeah, so I mentioned in my comments that I would have liked to have had a lot more notice of what the day that I had to decide to shut the bridge down. But I can't really go backwards on that, right? And that I believe that we are holding the people accountable that were responsible to tell us, to give us that advance notice. And remember, we were doing an $80 million repair on a bridge that was beyond repair. So I can't go backwards. All I can do is make sure that we protect the taxpayers by, looking for accountability for those, I think, the people who had the responsibility to tell us in advance that a problem was pre-existed. But we're doing that. But my job is to make sure going forward from the December 11th, and in particular from March 14th, when the decision was made, that's when the clock started in terms of our response to the fact that we needed to replace the bridge. Up to that point in time, we were still kind of under the impression that we were going to be back in, where we were on December 10th of 2023. So yes, we're always trying to take a look at how we could do things better and how that experience can help us going forward. But again, I'm very confident that where we are today is in a place where we're timely. We're in a spot where we're taking down a bridge. We can't build a bridge till we take down the bridge, and that's happening right now. We've accelerated the demolition on the underwater areas in advance of selecting the contractor that's going to build a bridge. So I'm very comfortable where we are right now. And as a previous question said, I think that time will tell that people who are continually, saying that we're headed in the wrong direction have certain motives in terms of why they're saying it. And right now, the facts are the facts. We're taking down a bridge. We're going to build a new bridge with a contractor that's going to be worldwide renowned. And we're going to also make sure that the finances is in place, working with the General Assembly, working with our delegation, working with the President of the United States. So money will be in place, accountability is happening, and I think one of the most important things was, and I was out meeting with the businesses, with the mayor, during the critical time frame that we're talking about, talking to our small businesses. And I think that we have, with the General Assembly and leadership coming from Mayor De Silva, Mayor Smiley, we're addressing the business issues, and it's being reflected. Our economy is growing, and this time frame that certainly impacted, in the case that the mayor's talking about, over 100 businesses in East Providence. We're addressing that as best we can, but we're keeping the economy going in the state of Rhode Island in a way where, I can keep on repeating that it didn't destroy the economy as some people were indicating at that point in time. So we've overcome that initial stretch. Remember, you didn't have any time frame. Normally, when you're taking down a bridge or building a new bridge, you have 6, 8, 10, 12 months prior to making the announcement that you're taking down a bridge, because you're in a normal process. We didn't have that time frame. So there was some catch up. We've caught up, and I'm happy where we are right now. And hopefully the public will feel the same way as they see the progress that we're making.
I had one for the director. We're using world-renowned companies now some with 12 additional consultants on top. Companies are, quote, bringing the gear and are the best of the best. We used to use more regional and local companies. In your experience, does one pay a premium to have the best of the best world-renowned companies bringing this kind of gear into a project?
Well, we've set a competitive bid process, so the pricing that we're going to get is going to be competitive, and so we'll see where we are, in June when we take a look at those details. But no, I think that what's happening right now, and I think that we've certainly worked way through some of the criticism, saying that if we had a lawsuit to hold companies accountable, that we weren't going to get qualified people to bid on the project. Well, guess what? We clearly are sitting here today saying that we've got qualified contractors to build the bridge, and I expect that that the time frames that we're talking about will accelerate, and the performance in the end, I think when you actually judge the performance based on the challenges that we had, is going to be considered to be good work. So thanks.
Before December 11th, 2023, was there anything the state could have or should have done better? Well,
I think that's what the accountability is about. That's going to be the question that's going to be asked through that legal process, right? And so we'll wait on the legal process to do that. But I don't think that we should have been signing, and I've said this multiple times, a repair in the $80 million range when that bridge was not repairable. So, but that's going to be the look back. Well, I'll rely on the Attorney General along with the legal team that we put in place to answer that very question. Unfortunately, you don't have that answer right at this moment in time. It's going to take time to work through that process.
It's 100% on the companies. There's nothing the state could have done differently before announcing the shutdown of the bridge?
Not that I'm aware of. I don't believe that we had, I have not seen any information that says that we had information in the state's hands that we shouldn't have moved forward on a repair of that bridge. So. So the tolls are, we're reviewing the decision, and I'll be meeting with the Senate President and the Speaker to talk about the options, but we want to have a full review of the decision, and there's a little wait time before we actually can answer that question.
I mean, you might need legislation. Do you think there might be legislation because of the way they struck down the caps? Is that why you need?
Yeah, so unfortunately, we really need to be careful about getting ahead of ourselves on that. We don't need to review the decision, which we're happy with, and I'm happy that I made the decision to pursue that. We know that, and one of the things there, I'll repeat, not only did we get a decision that we can toll, but we also got a decision that's protecting the taxpayers from tens of millions of dollars of clawback. That's a big, victory for the taxpayers, right? So we'll see. We'll continue to be very deliberate in terms of how we move ahead, and then once we, once we have a full, clear picture, we'll deliver that information.
You would like to turn them back on in some fashion?
Well, again, I'm not even gonna even enter that. I think that we need to evaluate the decision, and then we need to, and as you talked about, the General Assembly needs to be involved, and that's why I'm going to be talking as I do on a regular basis. I'm a governor that has met with the Speaker and the Senate President on a weekly basis over the almost 4 years that I've been in office. We're going to continue to make sure that they're involved in the decision making, as they were when I had a meeting in this room with the Senate President and the Speaker, along with the Attorney General, back in October of '22, when we were evaluating whether we actually should appeal that decision, and I think that I made the right decision to make sure that we had made that appeal. Thank you.